pet therapy, but we're at
It's a quiet pet therapy.
because we're at an all-women's seminar at Alliance San Diego, in San Diego, obviously. But here's the thing: this is our first gi seminar, and we don't know how traditional it is, and we don't know like how much noise we can make.
They're teaching behind us, or in front of us actually, behind you
gi,
guys.
they're all wearing gis. We have no idea what the hell's going on.
It's a pajama party, guys. It's a pajama party.
So right now, Danielle Martin's teaching. She's a black belt under Johnny Faria. Am I saying his last name? Here at Alliance San Diego. And she's been training for 15 years. She's a badass. She also has a black belt from Chuck Norris. How about that? Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Chuck Norris gave her a black belt.
Okay, she might win everything. She has a black
She wins
belt.
all the things.
All
Yeah.
the things.
We're Danielle Martin, black belt and all-around badass. And so I was watching you teach, and I had a couple thoughts and questions.
Please.
Do you teach knife defense skills in your regular defense classes?
Knife defense.
Well, because I thought you were going to teach how do you avoid being stabbed, but you were like, if you have a knife, you can stab somebody when you get out of the way of a punch.
You defend, and then you take out the threat.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on? Okay, I have a personal opinion on. I don't think you should teach striking as a first form of self-defense. I think grappling is the best form of your first form of self-defense. So where do you stand, and at what point do you think striking should come into a lady's self-defense arsenal, personal arsenal?
So I agree with you 100%. I think that the only positive statistic for these types of assault things is 6 out of 10 people that fight back get away. It's that cut and dry.
6 out of 10 people that fight back
That's
get
the
away.
only positive statistic there is when it comes to talking about assault.
Okay.
They expect that when someone is being attacked that they're just going to...
Freeze.
Right.
Okay, and a lot of times they do, or they don't fight back. They just kind of defend.
You freeze up because people don't know whether they are personally going to go to fight or flight unless you train on a regular basis.
Absolutely, but even in that situation, if it's somebody you know, you're more apt not to fight them back.
Yep.
It's a very natural reaction that you have, and it's more about defense rather than offense with their offense. You don't meet offense with offense when it's somebody you know, typically.
It's true.
So I think that the striking aspect, like I said, there's a lot of martial arts out there that teach the striking right away. They want you to go to striking, but, having been in a situation where the opportunity is not always there.
Right.
It's no different than learning a technique in jiu-jitsu and then trying to find it in a tournament. You don't just walk in and do your technique. You have to find it, or it has to be presented upon you. And in a situation that is that violent of assault, when a perpetrator, comes, they come with a lot of adrenaline. They're not coming to grab on and play this game with you. They don't want to be compromised. And to just strike and not hit your spot or hit that so-called kill spot to disable them in a way that makes them want to deter them from you. If you're striking and you miss, you're just increasing the violence.
Right.
So for me, I tell everybody, I would, if I'm cornered, I'm going to go to the ground. I'm going to go to the ground. I'm not going to let him take me to the ground. If he shoots in on me, I'm going to try to avoid with the inside-outside, like I described, because I don't want to be dealing with 100% of a man's violence towards me. If I can even cut it into 50% by taking an angle and shooting an angle, even though I know I might be getting taken down. And we're talking about a lot of what-if scenarios.
Of course.
So when I look at the body, if you think of it as 100%, and now I've got 50% to tango with, versus now I'm behind the threat and he's behind me. Yeah. Do I have a way out now, or do I still have to face him? If I have to face him and I get behind him, I'm going to go with what I know, and maybe now I put him down if I'm cornered.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? But I'm not going to let him face me again and now start over with 100%. Right. See what I'm saying? So do I think I think striking can come in when you are down, and now maybe the guy doesn't know what you know, so he doesn't realize the leverage of your hips coming up, the fact that we could kick to the face
right
off
the
ground,
elbows, all of that.
Somebody who doesn't understand jiu-jitsu is not going to know that my feet on the ground and the power of my hips and the fact that I can shoot up and kick him in the face or to the inside of the knee or the groin.
Yeah.
So that's where I think striking would come in, rather than just staying planted and just trying to defend. If the guy brings his genitals within my power point of my legs hitting and kicking him, I'm going to take a shot and try to drop him, maybe grab behind because his reaction is going to be this.
Yes. Right.
I may try to grab and put him to the side. I'm not going to continue attacking at that point. I'm going to get out.
Right.
Any out that I have, I'm going to take it.
100% out is always the first goal. You never want to sit there and actually scrap with somebody
No.
who's trying to attack you.
I don't.
What other martial arts do you do besides jiu-jitsu? Because I feel like your arsenal is not just that.
It's not. I've taken jiu-jitsu as my base. I trained karate a really, really long time ago. And once I started doing jiu-jitsu, it was like, why am I doing this? And with no disrespect.
Of course.
Because there is a place for it. But for a woman, I didn't find any place competitive for it in the sense of anything besides learning how to hold your fist and how to strike. Even then, if you don't practice it, it goes away. I don't call myself a striker or consider myself a striker. But I will say this. If somebody tries to attack me, I'm not playing. I'm not play fighting with you. If I have a blade on me, I'm going to use it. And I'm going to use it in a way that ends the situation and ends it all. I don't care. And that's my philosophy after having been attacked and been in a situation and understanding the damage that comes with that.
Right.
I have zero tolerance for that anymore. And I train knife combatives. I train Krav. I train and I donate my time up at the military base with some high-level combatives from the McMap, and I've worked with some people from Naval Special Warfare, and everybody has their own thing, and I really love to come in, whether it's guns, knives, or that. I love going in as if I know nothing and watching, and the cool thing is watching how there's a little bit of the jiu-jitsu in everything.
Yeah.
And I love not saying anything about what I know. Everybody's like, so have you done this? I'm like, please, treat me like a white belt.
Right.
I want to hear it from the very foundations. I'm fanatical about foundation, about all the basic skill sets. You'll see me in the beginners classes all the time. I'll sit in a white belt class and I just want to learn it over and over and over again. And I see people doing it right. I've seen people doing it wrong. I've seen black belts choking wrong, teaching Americanas wrong. Like, we're talking basic stuff.
Yeah.
And, it's fascinating to me, but you can never drill the basics enough. You can never learn enough. So I love just to go and, like, the gun disarms, watching the leverage points, taking them away, using the gun as a tool, the knives, and understanding the blades and the movements, and breaking the body up into squadrons. It really helps your jiu-jitsu game too, because you're able to look at each body part as this opportunity of attack or defense, and understanding what each body part is capable of doing and breaking it down like that.
That's interesting. What do you tell ladies who come to you with no knowledge of fighting, no anything, and are just like, I just want to be able to defend myself and my children? So it's not even about like, I want to be this badass ninja, because I feel like a lot of us that train, we're a special breed of women in general. Like,
yes,
you know what I mean? Like, we come in and we're like, let's do this shit.
Yeah, we'd rather be here than in a spa.
Absolutely. Yes. So what do you tell those ladies who are like, look, I'm uncomfortable with it, but I realize I need to know it?
Right. Well, first of all, a lot of people aren't going to take the time to invest in the time it's going to take to learn this, and to have an understanding of the power of what we are learning. Okay, and it takes a lot of time and hours and levels in jiu-jitsu when you really appreciate it,
right?
And understand your strengths physically as a female. So I tell them, if I have an hour with them, let me go back. The people that teach self-defense for an hour, and I've had women come in the class and they raise their hand. I'm like, who feels they're comfortable in an assault situation? Cool, so you must train. Well, no, I went to a self-defense seminar, and I really shame on the people that are sending people out the door with a false sense of security.
I agree.
For me, that's the worst thing you can do.
Me too.
And it's the worst thing for people that are walking out thinking that they're totally capable, right? So I try to flip the switch on their mindset, and I said that today, because this is just like, you're not going to walk out of here going, I know how to handle a knife on a bar. Yeah, I know how to handle this, because it takes me hours. I drill just this. But I always try to flip their mind. Like, think about it in the terms of this. If you are ever attacked, if you're in a position where you can help somebody else, if your children are there, what are things that you even talk to them about? Do you know as a woman your strengths physically, emotionally, mentally versus a male's? Because if you do, you work in your workplace better with guys. If you understand these things about yourself and you create boundaries to protect that aspect of your life, that makes you walk different. It makes you talk different. It makes you look at things differently. So I think I try to give these women the permission to, hey, go set some boundaries if you don't have them. Mm-hmm. I know me, I got in trouble not having them. I grew up in a very different kind of upbringing, and I didn't have them. And
You didn't have personal physical boundaries?
I had no boundaries of any sort because I was an athlete. I was a professional athlete, and I was always around really extraordinary people I was never threatened by anything.
That makes sense.
And, I was homeless as a teenager for a certain amount of time, and I learned how to carry myself a certain way, to be protective of myself. And naturally, like, I was sleeping in a
Your guard was already up.
It was up.
Yeah.
But, I had to work on my soft side, taking it down and not being so thick and skinned and kind of...
So guarded.
Yeah, so guarded. And I think that I always gave myself the permission because I didn't have anybody helping me. I was like, no, nobody does anything for me. I'm going to do blah, blah, blah. I kind of have that mentality. So, but a lot of people, they don't. They're like, oh, am I allowed to say that? Yeah, if somebody's standing too close to me at the airport, I do go, can you back up? And I don't care if they think I'm
rude. In when I teach women. Yeah. So when I was younger, I was walking from the movies to my house, which was, I don't know, probably like half a mile, maybe a mile. And this guy was walking behind me, and he could tell I was scared as hell that he was walking behind me. And he goes, why don't you let me just walk in front of you so I don't scare the shit out of you? And instead of being like, thanks, sir, that's a great idea, I was like, no, it's totally cool. And he was like, kid, get out of my way. Yeah. And I learned a lesson that day, and I teach that when I teach women myself. I'm like, you are allowed to be like, hey, you're making me uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. You need to, like, that you are allowed to protect your own space.
Yeah.
And I don't think enough women understand that, and that it's okay.
They always ask me, I'm allowed to say that? I'm like, yes.
Right?
Why would you be?
Yeah. Because enough women don't know it.
They don't know, and they're told to be a certain way, where they're raised to be a certain way. And I think that I just try to get them to set boundaries that aren't what everybody else wants them to be. It's what's best for you.
Yeah.
On the airplane, they don't say, hey, when we're having a problem, run around and put everyone else's masks on and then put yours on.
After you've already passed out.
Yeah, if you have 2 kids and you don't put yours on first, you can't save both kids. So what's best
for you? That's
you?
An interesting one to me. Yeah.
Absolutely, but
they tell you to put yours on first, then help your kids.
When I had no kids, I used to sit there and look at them and be like, yeah, right, I'm not ever doing that. Any parent I see do that, I'm going to just be like, what an idiot. I used to totally judge it and had no perspective, but when I had my first kid, I was still like, no, I will put it on my kid first because I can hold my breath or whatever my reasons were. But it always, when they said that, I always looked up and I was just like, oh my gosh, probably the only part of it I listened to. But when I had 2 kids, I realized, you know what? If I don't put my mask on first, I won't be able to save them. Yep. And if I put my mask on first, I'll save them and somebody else's 5 kids.
Yeah.
But in life, we got to put our mask on first. And what is best for us is inevitably going to be best for the people that are in our circle that surround us, be it our kids, friends, family, whoever is in your little circle. And it's not what other people think your boundaries should be, because when you start setting boundaries up in terms of that, you're going to find yourself in trouble, because if you're making every single person around you happy and everybody, you're doing something wrong.
Boundaries for each individual person versus just making one set of boundaries for yourself.
They either like you or they don't. So that's why, like, my charity and my business is called True Boundaries. Like, what are the boundaries? What's the truth to yourself?
Yeah.
Who are you? What are you? Are you comfortable in your own skin? Because if you can't make boundaries that serve yourself, something's wrong with you. You have some things upside down. You need to go check it. When you set them for yourself, guess what? Not everybody likes me. I don't make everybody happy because I'm doing a lot of things right.
Yeah.
And instead of looking at, like, I got to be a pleaser and I got to run around, that's how I got myself in trouble. That's how I allowed a perpetrator to see and get my number and feel like he could keep bullying me and punking me and coming after me and inevitably really hurt me bad.
And you got bullied by somebody that you trained with. You don't have to tell the story.
Yeah, my instructor.
Yeah.
That knew me very well. Knew what I knew.
We were just talking about that, there's not a joke, but people talk about, if you don't train, or people who train, it's a natural douchebag filter. And it is, to a certain extent, but it doesn't guarantee that somebody that you train with isn't going to be a predator. And
there's
that's
wolves in sheep's clothing.
Right.
That's what he is.
Yeah.
And 87% of the people that attack somebody are somebody you know.
Absolutely.
And that's sad. And there's wolves in sheep's clothing everywhere. There's cops that are shady. There's teachers. There's all these people in these uniforms walking around. And naturally, you see somebody with a black belt and you think, wow, you must be a good person because you came through this, and this.
You automatically hold these people to a certain standard, whether it be the teacher, the black belt, the cop. Mm-hmm. You naturally set a certain standard for them from the outside.
And your guard's down.
Yeah.
And, if you're not living inside of yourself where you know yourself, where you have boundaries that you don't let certain people cross, or anybody cross and that you don't cross, then you wouldn't be tolerating that kind of behavior. You would identify it faster instead of making excuses up for it.
Yeah.
And when I was talking about the intuition aspect, that's like when I'm sitting at a Chipotle with my kid and this guy moves in and he starts the luring and grooming aspect. And because I know what that is, I'm like, no, I'm like, hey, can you not? I was in a cab, I remember when I was 18, I was modeling in New York, and this cab driver, he goes, my air conditioning's broken. And I was like, okay, so I sat in the front, and I have my backpack, and I'm 19 years old, and when he's talking, he's one of those touchy
toucher.
And then he's touching my leg,
No.
and I'm like, okay, and then I'm like, hey, can you please not touch my leg? And then next thing I know, he's got a gun out, he's offended,
What?
he's threatening my life, sure, I'll drive off into the water, I'll do this to you, and I was just like, what am I doing, right? And then he had the gun like this, he's like, and you pull up to the New York airport, and there's cops everywhere.
Yeah.
And he's like, if you say anything, I'm going to shoot you, or you're not getting your luggage. It was just like, okay, I'm just going to comply here. And there's a time to comply.
Yeah.
So I just, anytime that could I have prevented that? Yeah, I could have said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable sitting in the front. Of course, I was a teenager thinking, okay, nobody's going to do these things, but you
don't
can't.
think
Well,
about,
but also
like,
being polite, like we can't. It's unrealistic to think that we can live in a society where we can always be like, no, fuck you, no, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you can't.
still have to
Everybody's
interact.
gonna
That's
with
why your
everybody.
intuition, you gotta feel, you gotta read, you gotta know.
Yeah.
And even in attack situations, I tell people, you might not. We just interviewed a woman for our show that was in a home invasion. She had a man come in. She took her husband to work in the morning early, came home, got back in bed. A guy came, put a wet towel over her face.
Oh my God.
And proceeded to rape and beat her up for about 3 hours. And then drug her
Was it
from...
somebody that she knew?
No, was not. And I said, was there moments during that time that you felt like if you knew what you know now, would you have fought? And she's like, no. I had to comply because, again, she was under the covers when he jumped on her. She couldn't kick. And when she did try to fight, he punched her in the face.
Wow.
So he had the upper hand. She didn't have an opportunity. And there is a time where, I don't tell people, if somebody gets you, just go bat out crazy, do this, do that. I think that the more you train, the more you have an instinct. The more it's just like when you're in a tournament and you're like, do I shoot now or later? You just run in, the ref's like, and you're all, you don't do it like that. We feel, we watch, we watch.
Find the timing.
Well, and there's sometimes it's like, if I fight back, I could lose my life in this situation.
Yes.
So what's better? Dealing with the psychological and physical bruises of that situation or losing your life.
Exactly.
In that situation, you got to take take it and just deal with it. Yeah.
And get out safe.
Get out
Somebody,
alive.
yeah, even somebody who has been raped, who has been beaten up, if they're standing here talking about it, they were successful in self-defense. And that's sad to say.
It's true, though.
Yeah, I was successful. I'm here. And I got thrown from a car while I was moving on the street.
Jesus.
And but I look at it like, I'm here.
Yeah.
So I fight back. It's like, well, you know what you know. It's like when somebody that knows me knows 10 times more what I know. And how, it's like, I already knew I was outmatched. Why am I going to fight and escalate it?
Absolutely. How old are your kids?
13 and 9.
What do you tell them about all of this, the mentality that you have about assault and what you know about your training and everything?
Well, I have boys, and I think that they have grown up with me and seen a very different thing than maybe most kids see in a mother. I raised them. Their dad was a professional baseball player. Now he's a professional coach in the MLB, so he's gone 8 months of the year. So the boys are predominantly with me, and they get to, I was a pro surfer before, so they surf, they do jiu-jitsu, they do these things, and I think when that happened, they got a bad taste in their mouth with jiu-jitsu. And
really?
And so did I. I was off the mats for about 6 months, and I got a call from Chuck Norris's people, and Chuck Norris gave me a new black belt and was just like, we need women in the martial arts community like you that you're not going to quit. Like, we need you. And it just, people from all over the country, certain black belts had written me letters on Facebook, just like, don't give up, don't quit.
There's the mic.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, don't quit, don't give up, don't do this. And, to kind of like step back into the form of it, I realized that that wasn't just enough. And if I'm going to be out speaking, I want to be responsible.
Yeah.
And I want to be giving people the very, very best information I can. So I sought out all the very, very best people, I could for this type of thing. I went to Hickson Gracie, and who, is not the biggest fan of sport jujitsu. He's more like jujitsu is about not getting your ass kicked and kicking ass.
Yeah.
But that's what we need to do. And he showed me a lot of things. He shared with me a lot of insight and perspective. I work with Hoist Gracie, they never start sitting down. They start standing. They have a very different system, directly from the source. I worked and talked with Chuck. I worked and talked with some of the best protection specialists. I went out to seminars and got my third-party protection, like high-level bodyguard certification. And I do executive security and, carry your arms, and you need to know how to use it. And if I'm protecting a female, I can go in a restroom where she might be attacked, and I can assess situations, and I can protect her or pose as a target. So
that's interesting.
I've taken on a completely different level of it, but jiu-jitsu is that foundation for me that I always will revert to, that I'm very comfortable in, and I love the sport. I love competing. I've competed at every level, and I love being called up for submission fights, and I love taking them. I lost a lot of confidence on the mats when I was beat up like that, and it affected me a lot. My training started becoming not as offensive, but more like, what do you want to do? Go ahead and do it on me. Like, I didn't want to attack anyone. I didn't want to hurt anyone. I didn't want to compete with them anymore. I didn't want to be that person. And I don't know why. It took something from me. And I didn't realize it until I started training again, and I was very uneasy to put a gi on. I was turned off. And so I stepped away for a while, and then I got asked to do some fights. Everybody's like, just do it. Just show up. Just say yes. And me just standing there before even a tournament, I was like, I already won standing here. Nobody knew what I was dealing with in my mind. And I never, the last two matches, I lost by decision. And the other one, I don't even remember. Oh, yeah, just by points. But it was like, I never really lost in tournaments. I was always that kind of pretty fierce competitor. Mm-hmm. And I just was like, I had a formula from being a pro athlete in other sports, and I played D1 softball, and I've been a competitor all my life. And I was just kind of like applying the same formula to jiu-jitsu, and it was working out. But when that was violated in me, it stole something from me. And it took that passion that I had for this sport in particular, that when I competed, I was kind of like, she can have it. I don't really care. I wasn't giving away fights. I was still fighting, but it wasn't winning. Wasn't it? It was just being there was already winning for me. And I think I kind of just let an edge off in that situation, which isn't me. It really surprised me. So I really became passionate about fueling other people and letting them understand how special this sport really is, and how diverse it can be, and how effective it can be, but also the reality of it. A lot of these, I've seen the women sometimes, and sometimes it's a really good environment you're in with women, and sometimes it's really a turnoff. And I'm kind of like, appreciate what you have. Respect what you have, and respect the women that are around, that are part of this. And there's not room for that. And, it's easy for women to be catty and to go that way. But when you step off these mats and out into real life, and you're seeing the application, and you're seeing how it changes people's lives, the knowledge you can share, for me, I would be doing a disservice to everybody that came before me on these mats if I wasn't sharing my knowledge and able to articulate a knife in the fight, a gun in the fight, being on the ground, applying, really looking at a woman being like, do you even know your strengths? Do you know how powerful you are? And it's not this masculine, I'm a badass. I always tell women, your greatest power is in your soft side. It's your ability to nurture, to be gentle yet firm. And to have that lethal side of you if need be, because I'm telling you, I'm not going to tolerate being beat up again. I will go to end it, and I will end someone's life that hurts my children or offends or comes at us like that. And, the thing is I've learned how. So I can take high-level stuff, and I can not dumb it down, but I can bring it more into, a friendlier thing. That's why, I was like, I'm going to show some nice stuff. There's young kids. I'm like, maybe not the knife. And I just go with my instincts. I'm like, no knife today. Let's put it away. But it is fun.
I saw you get rid of it. Somebody gave you a mock knife, right?
Yeah, and it is fun, and it's cool, because I know so many women who carry a knife, and they do it like, I have a knife. And it's like,
what are you going to do with that?
What are you going to do with it? I wrote an article for Women's Running magazine, and there were like, so many people ask us, should we carry a knife? And I'm like, do you want it taken from you? Every knife class that I've gone to, we put like lipstick on the knife, and I leave cut up. I get cut. I do some cutting, but you get cut. If you're in a knife fight with someone with a knife, you're getting cut. One of you is getting cut. You're both getting cut.
For sure. Absolutely.
It seems like it kind of comes down to the same argument as like people that talk about they own a gun. You go get a permit, you buy a gun. Do you know how to use that gun? Do you know what you're doing? Do you use it regularly? That's the thing I've learned most recently. I don't own a gun. I don't have a permit. I would, but I think it ties in the same thing, though.
We were just talking about it the other day.
The training. You can't
need to fucking know how to use it.
That's
like,
true.
if you have
you
a
become
gun
more of a liability.
Well,
yeah, because
you have a weapon that's
one-
going to kill you.
Exactly. And if it's sitting in your nightstand and you think, oh, I'm protected because I have a gun in my nightstand, are you?
The woman we just
Do you know
interviewed
how to pull that thing
had
out,
a
get
knife.
it ready,
I mean,
and
had a gun. She had a gun, and it was
In
right
her
on my
nightstand?
Yes,
Ugh.
but she never was given the space to get it.
See, that's just it. If you've seen the video of the home invasion, I think it was on the East Coast somewhere. This man came into this woman's house. She opened her front door and he like bum rushed her and assaulted her, and her toddler was in the room.
Oh,
and
I did see it.
And everybody's like, "Oh, she needed a gun," and I'm like, "Okay, there's several things
When could
wrong
she
with
have
what you're
gotten a
saying.
gun?
Yeah.
Unless it was sitting right there on the table with her toddler in the
baby.
same room,
all ready to go.
She did not have access to it. Secondly, if it was in a lockbox, which everybody suggests, it's completely
Again, what's the point,
not
right?
And the only thing that could have helped that woman in that situation, even aside from if she knew that guy had such size on her.
Oh my gosh, he was
that
very aggressive.
He was very aggressive. She was tiny, and she had to think that her child was in the same room. So you got to go back to that. Like, do I fight back? Am I putting my child in danger? At what point do I just let this happen? My personal opinion is the only thing that would have helped in that situation is a big dog. Because
dogs make a big difference. They did an interview in a prison about dogs and how offensive are they, and so many criminals have said if I see a dog, they're 85% deterrent.
Nobody likes to get bit. Even my tiny ass little dog.
And
like,
again,
people are like, are they going to bite my ankle?
Yeah,
Exactly.
but even again, a bigger dog, a dog that's a working dog is basically, I always call it a bullet you can call off. But that's again, you need to go train with your dog. You need to train your dog.
And
You
it's
have to
all
have
training.
listening to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the same as everything. It goes back to the
training.
Yes,
everything.
It's an investment. I just tell people, listen, it's like people going, I always go, hey, do you work out? Everybody's like, oh, how do you stay in such good shape? Well, I invest some time in that. And they're like, oh, I don't have time. I'm like, but when you get sick, do you have time to be sick?
Exactly.
I got Lyme disease in 2010, and I was on infusions for 14 months, 5 days a week.
You didn't have a choice but to
I
deal
didn't
with
have
that.
a choice, and I take care of
option.
myself. So the amount of time it takes to lay in bed and try to get well or whatever you're doing is time that you could invest it and not be in that position.
Absolutely.
It's the same. It's
Where are
an
your
investment.
priorities?
It's a choice.
Yeah.
But most people, the majority of people, number one, don't have a luxury to come in and do this kind of training.
Right.
Training costs money. True Boundaries Charitable Foundation takes kids or women or anybody who has been in a violent situation, and what I'll do is I'll hear their story, I'll share their story, and I buy them a scholarship for a year with all their gi and all their equipment so that they have a place to go, so they have a place to train, and they don't have an excuse anymore to build back their self-esteem, their discipline, and to get a taste of our world. And I pay for that for them, so or
awesome.
anything else they need.
I love that.
Me too.
So that's what I do.
Awesome.
And it's very, I'm passionate about it. And if anybody comes from violence, whether it's this little girl, her parents are fighting and she doesn't have a prom dress, I'll buy her dress. I'll take care of personalized things. If a kid gets taken by CPS because his parents are fighting and the dog is going to be put down, I'll board the dog. I just want to have less and less people affected by the aftermath of violence, period, assault, period, sexual, domestic, bullying. I speak at schools about it. I mean, people are losing their lives to this, whether they take it themselves because they can't handle the damage and the aftermath. It's very serious.
Is wanting to help other people the thing that helped you get back to the place where you could, like, have you found a new place, or have you gotten back to where you were before that thing was taken from you in the assault? Or have you found a new thing, and is it because you have the opportunity to help other people? Do you want to go jump in that picture and then you come back?
Yeah,
go,
that's
go,
a
go,
great
go.
question, actually. That really actually makes me emotional. I'll be right back.
Okay.
It's a great question.
So we were talking before about, you talked about in your assault, about how it took something from you. You were a competitor. Had you already had your black belt?
Yeah, I got my black belt the day of.
You got this. Okay, so you already had this thing, and then you were assaulted, and you said it took something from you. And my question to you is, have you gotten it back? Have you got something new? And is that because you're so passionate about helping people, and is that what gave it back to you, or have you found a new thing to love?
I didn't get anything back. I got something better. I really feel like that was my black belt test. It was not just time on the mats, winning championships or doing competition. It was something much deeper and much more evolved than that. And I found that through that adversity, breakdowns equal breakthroughs. And it's not how we fall, how we got knocked down. It's about how we get up.
Yeah.
And it's easy to be happy and good on an easy, good day and everything's going well for you. True character is when you're down. How do you treat people? How do you respond to that? And my response, at first you just want to tuck in and you feel stripped of my physical, broken and hurt inside, offended by the people that you think are your friends. You learn who your friends are real fast. You learn about people doing the right thing. You're like, wow, the right thing's very inconvenient.
Yeah.
Whoever's want to continue going there and giving money to that in that person's hands and empowering that person, something's wrong with you. Because when I would ask the question to them, there would be like, hey, can you just forgive and let them say sorry to you? I said, if this happened to your daughter or your sister, would you be asking them to sit down at Starbucks and let him say sorry to them?
Right.
Or, let it go? And they're like, well, it's different. I said, it's not. I'm someone's mom. I'm someone's sister. I'm someone's daughter, a friend.
You're you.
And I'm me.
You're you.
Yeah. And I instructed your own daughter on these things. And now it's like, I don't matter because I'm tough. I have a black belt, so I should take it.
Yeah.
And let it be okay. I've already did that. I did that several times, by the way. This was not an only incident. And I'd gone and asked for help. And I told people I had a problem. And I wanted to deal with it that way. Because why should I have to walk away from what I built, from what I invested there? I taught the kids program. I did a lot of things that broke my heart to walk away from. But it taught me a lot of things. It taught me about how difficult it is for people to do the right thing. How can I encourage and inspire people to do the right thing? Kids at schools who are bullying or kids that are standing by laughing. How can I encourage these kids to do the right thing if I myself am going to succumb to not doing it or surround myself with people who refuse to do it? So it upped my standard. It shrunk my circle down to more quality, less quantity. I gained purpose from that. I realized that everything that I had and I had learned, and everything I've even compounded onto that, all the combatives, all the things, all the what ifs, I try to fill all those holes so that when I'm standing in front of people and they have a question, I can either say, I don't know, let me find out, or guess what? There's a lot of what ifs. What if grandma had balls, she'd be grandpa? Everybody always has a what if this, what if this, what if that? It's like, I understand, but I was able to take personalized situations and sit with them in it and be like, maybe we could do this, maybe you could do that. I found purpose in being able to articulate my emotions and wear my heart on my sleeve to disarm people. I know I always get, you're so intimidating, this and that, or like in your personal life, you're trying to date and you're like, why are you single? You could have any guy you want. You're like, well, I don't know. And you're so intimidating. I'm like, why? Right. I'm like liquid on the inside. I cried for 60 nights straight after that happened to me. I didn't know when I would stop crying. I walked around with my head high because I know I did the right thing. I had law enforcement behind me, encouraging me. I had black belts, people I didn't even know, picking me back up. Yeah. Chuck Norris giving me a new black belt. A lot of great things happening. It was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I'm like, it still is not fixing what's in here. Yeah. And that journey is still ongoing. And I know now my purpose. There's no question. And nobody will stand in my way for that. And when I'm able to reach out, even today, a woman came up to me. She was a black belt in the McMap system at the Marines. And I talked about working up the base. And she's very impressive. And she's like, I was pushed out because of a sexual harassment. And they tried to sweep her under the rug. And nobody wants to know. Nobody would do the right thing. And she's now out of the military and not even honored for what she's done. And I said, you're a blue belt on the mats in jiu-jitsu. But you're a black belt in here. And don't you forget that. And she just started sobbing. And it's like, I come across people like that every single place I go. And that kind of thing is when I know I leave and I go, this is worthwhile. Yeah. Did I help somebody get a leg up on the Pan Ams this week to win a fucking medal? Maybe, maybe not. I don't care. I care about what kind of woman are you? Are you a black belt in here? Because if you're not, I don't understand what you're trying to do or what you're trying to achieve. This martial art, going back to that, was built off of self-defense. Learning how to manipulate your body with someone else to just protect yourself, and that is such a precious thing. And look what it's evolved into. Yeah. Great things, but there's a lot of crap that goes on, and I hate seeing it muddied like that. It's going to happen in any industry. Of course. But I will always be a martial artist before I'm some flashy world champ or Pan Am or whatever. I don't give a shit to that. When I'm in a fight, I fight. I don't play fight. And tournaments sometimes are hard for me because it's like a play fight, and I'm like, I get ugly quick in my head, and I don't want to do that all the time. And I think that might be why my mentality's changed. Yes, my confidence was ripped away. And finding my confidence didn't mean training harder and learning how to tap people faster. It meant picking up the pieces along this really very serious path of dealing with other people who are damaged and helping them. You know, I've always been good at helping and protecting other people better than I have myself.
Of course.
I was the oldest of 4 girls, and, you know, walking that path, protecting my sisters from, you know, what I grew up with as a child. And my protective instincts have always been there. So I think it just took me full circle to my purpose. You know, I worked in the entertainment industry as a pro surfer. I act in films and stuff. But the thing about that is none of it matters once I identified my purpose. Now I'll read for projects here and there that I believe and I think would be cool, and I can use those as a platform, you know, to do other things, because I can get attention of different communities to step in and recognize what our sport is. You know, I did that for surfing as a female. I was the first female surfing magazine ever put on a cover or used. And when you're doing
awesome.
that, yeah, it's very cool. But there's a responsibility that comes with that.
Sure.
So I feel like in jiu-jitsu, it's still new to the women population. And when I walk with that, I'm walking with the gi that, you know, belong to Hilo Gracie and these people that I'm representing that. And I'm never going to be bigger than that. When I went to UCLA, those 4 letters, I'm a part of that fabric, and I want to be the very best parts of that fabric. And that's how I view everything I step into, or I don't step there.
Well, it sounds like you take a huge responsibility. Are you, and that's awesome, and you know, those of us who do jiu-jitsu and are in the sport, obviously we're riding on your coattails, but are you able, because we call it mat therapy, because it's our therapy. We go there and we leave our spirits on the mat. Are you still able to do that, even if it's different? Like, can you find solace in jiu-jitsu? Like, does it feed your soul, or is it this responsibility on your shoulders now?
It used to feed my soul, and I was betrayed, you know, by an instructor, somebody that you covet, that you hold so high on a pedestal, that you love, that you respect. And I think that betrayal is something I'm working through. And when I come in on the mats, I don't come in the same. I kind of come in and, like I said, I don't fight to fight. There's times where I'm craving, I want to train, and there's times when I step away, like I got injured at Worlds and tore ligament, and I've been off the mat 5.5 months, and it's like, it hurts me to say sometimes I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And I'm still teaching. I have a client up in LA that I teach, and she uses it as therapy. She's working through issues on her own. She's a big pop star, and she has all these pressures, and I'm able to show her jiu-jitsu and help parallels with life. And I mean, enough where she's in tears sometimes, because that's what she's using it as. Very much mat therapy for her. And through that, I think that I have fun with her training. She's got a great instinct. She's a fighter by nature, and that's been great. So, you know, and I don't know, I come in and I train and I have a great time, but it's not the same. I used to train twice a day, 4 or 5 days a week. I was addicted to it, you know, and I was like, I will be the best, you know, and that's my mentality. But now I think there's such a bigger purpose and such a bigger calling and so much out there that it's very rare that I take time for me anymore. I have 2 kids. I'm working. I have a business started, a foundation I'm running.
Yeah.
And I have private, you know, client up in LA, and I'm working on a show. So just right now in particular, after being injured, I'm like, you know, I can't wait to train. So I have that little bit of butterfly in there. Like, I'm kind of excited, and that for me is, I feel like it's a reward. You can't force a feeling.
Yeah.
And I hate telling people, like, I could take it or leave it, because they look at me like, no, you can't. You have to be here. We want you here. And you know, Johnny's always like, come D, we just want you around. That makes me feel good. But it has to come from in here.
Yeah. This has to belong to you.
Yeah. And it makes me sad that somebody had the power
to take
to do that to me.
take that feeling from you.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
It doesn't reflect me what they did, you know?
right. And time, I don't know if time heals all wounds, but time gives you the opportunity to find new tools
If you let
to
it.
deal with them. Yeah.
You have to come out of your shell. You have to become vulnerable to what that is. If I sat back and just threw my gi down and threw my black belt away and was in the position I was the week after still, you know, it took a lot of amazing people just reaching out, little nudges. You know, Johnny D, come to the school, just train. Don't do anything, just come get on the mat.
Yeah.
There was times I put the gi on and I sat on the corner of the mat and I just watched. I didn't feel comfortable somebody grabbing onto me even. I didn't want to be manhandled. I didn't want to be touched. I didn't want to do it to other people. And I started with just defense. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I forgot how to submit people, because I'm not into it.
You have to start your from a different place then.
That's why I went out and I went to like working other things. I put myself in really high pressured situations, like a week in Delaware out in the cornfields, staying in barrack, shooting at night, fighting during the day, guns, knives, all these things, because it allowed me to use my jiu-jitsu and my base and to feel comfortable in those environments and to learn, but then come back to that. And I kept, I just gained a love for it in a very different way, which I tried to talk about. You can't teach and talk about something like that if people haven't been through it. They're just sitting there with like a blue belt, like, hey, you know, and I want them though to, like I said, if I only have a little bit of time, it's flipping the mindset, making them think, wow, I didn't think like that before. This is cool. Every time I train, when I'm doing a submission, I always say, this is the jiu-jitsu way, but in a self-defense, I want to do this and that. And then people are like, oh.
It's showing to them from a different perspective. People only see from their own perspective. That's what they can only... I mean, I feel like we talked about this the other day. We were having like a brainstorming session, and I was like, yeah, that makes me see things a totally different way. It's just, it's people's perception. They don't have your perception, can only see hearing it.
Well, and that's also wisdom.
I'm 40 years old. So.
I'm turning 40 on Tuesday.
Okay.
And I feel like that's the one
and
thing
you look like
that...
you're 25. So.
It's the first time I see her say it recently and smile.
And not cry,
And smile.
No, okay. But I think it comes with a certain level of wisdom that you're like, all right, because 25-year-old me would not have been able to deal with that, but the wisdom that just comes with, like, perspective. You know what I mean? That's I guess a gift in itself that only time can give you. That's the one thing that time can give you, is that wisdom.
It is a gift.
Yeah.
It's not always the gift we thought we wanted.
Yeah.
You know? So, and there's consequences in things, and not listening to intuition. There's times I've looked back a million times and said, what if this, what if that? And
we can do that.
You know,
we'll just drive ourselves crazy doing that.
And if someone wants you, they're going to get you.
For sure. For sure.
And all you can do is do your very best like an athlete. You prepare, you go out and you leave it all out there. All I can do is my very best. Do I know everything? No. Can I help you with everything? Can I tell you scenarios, this, and that? No, maybe. But I just always say...
You might help the right person with what they need.
And sharing your story sometimes it just takes enough that people hear it and they're like, oh, I'm not alone in the world in this situation.
That's it too.
Absolutely.
And it makes them come out and say and ask.
Absolutely.
And then I always think, like, I wish I had somebody that had said certain things to me at a certain age, you know.
For sure.
But even then, saying things
people
is
feel
one
like they're
thing.
not allowed to say it.
But even when they say things, there's so many things that I could have been told at 20 years old that I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. But you just kind of like, you have to end up, you have to go through it before you're like, oh, that's what they
appreciate
meant.
it.
Yeah.
Now at 36, I'm like, oh, that's what so-and-so meant when I was, whenever. Yeah. Whatever age.
Yeah. I feel like I know my purpose, and I think anybody who learns that, I wish I could say I wish I learned it at 20, but it would be very different at that
You
point.
couldn't.
My purpose is a unique one, and some people's is I'm meant to sell things, I'm meant to do this, I'm meant to do that. Mine's very intricate and to communicate all that. Some people are like, well, choose one thing, choose one topic. It's like, no, I don't have just one seminar. I customize. Do you want me to show up and do just physical jiu-jitsu? I can do that. I can show you how to get your arm bar 10 times better than maybe what it was, and in details and things. I'm a detail person. But I prefer to respect our sport and talk about where it came from and what are the different perspectives and things that you can think about when you are training. And or we don't do anything physical at all. Sometimes I'm on a stage talking to a corporation about men's strengths and weaknesses and women's strengths and weaknesses and how to cooperate better together, and about bullying in those environments.
Yep.
And I'm in a suit and a skirt and I'm talking about that, and they don't know what I am.
Yeah. I think that's a cool thing that women in this sport have that possibly the men don't have, which is when you hear that a man is a black belt, you're like, oh, he's a beast. He's like, you kind of attribute the physical part of that. You're like, oh, he's a beast. But then when you hear that a woman is a black belt, at least for us, you're like, oh, that didn't just come with some physical capabilities. That black belt came with some emotional capabilities. You had to, especially for as long as you and I have been training, how there weren't women around. That it comes with so much more that you have to acknowledge, like, it's not just that. And the cool thing that we can do with that is exactly what you're saying. When we go out in the world, we have this opportunity to teach, not just from a physical place, but from an emotional and a spiritual place that maybe men don't have to experience doing the same type of things that we do.
Men appreciate it though, and when I paint it to them in that way, that's why my whole little slogan is protect yourself from the inside out, because it does start from the inside.
Yeah.
And that is where it starts. And when you start thinking about it, and that's why when it's like, do you teach self-defense? It's like, at first I was like, yeah, I do. I'd get asked to come talk to this Girl Scout troop, this. And I started really stepping back and going, okay, this is something I'm going to do. It can't just be the surface. I went and sat in on other self-defense classes, and I was just appalled. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is so bad. They're feeding false advertising to these people, false sense of security to these people, and it's not false advertising, it's sense of security, and they're basically telling them that because you know how to take your hand out, or they're showing them very flashy things that they're not retaining in an hour.
Right.
No.
And I'm like, yeah. So I was just sitting there like, I cannot be a part of this group of people.
I'm with you.
So I rose up into my own little space, which I found no one talking about this aspect of it, and then this last. This is only if you absolutely have to.
Yes.
Where before they're like, if you see a guy do that, just do this.
Oh yeah, I love
And
to
oh my God,
square
no.
up and the palm strikes and
teaching
Oh
him
my
hip
God, no.
throws.
Oh my God, no.
No.
Yeah. After you've competed, you know no.
No.
Well, I know just squaring up
with a fellow female, let alone a grown man.
Exactly.
Hip tossing, no.
It just made me sad. It made me realize that I don't have a choice. I have to go out and do this. And I have friends that are out of the SEAL teams and they're doing stuff. I have people from all over that you would think, why are they calling me, asking me if this is legit
you
or
have
that?
a different perspective.
And I've tried to walk in all of those worlds and take out the very best things and add little tools to my repertoire. And now it's like, okay, I feel pretty confident to take this train on the road and wherever I go, whether it's working with active shooters and teaching them how to go into schools.
Right?
No.
What you do is you aim for the small ones.
Yeah. Hey, get the AR. It's very accurate. First of all, get a 30-round mag. They are illegal in California.
You got to take out the big kids that can play football first, and then you go.
And then you're just left
For the teacher. But working with survivors with that, I went up and I did a seminar for a lot of the women and survivors that were in the San Bernardino one.
Oh, wow.
And the things that they said and the place that they're in now was just devastating. Mm-hmm. They thought they worked behind bulletproof glass. They thought they're afraid to leave their home now. They watched people walk in with guns and they didn't even react because, thank you. Bye, ladies. And I was just like, these are basic things. They worked in a social work.
So they watched the people walk in with guns, and because they thought they were behind bulletproof glass, they didn't
know how to react. They froze. They saw the guns and they're just like, they're
fight
not
or
gonna,
flight.
Right away they're like, they're not going to shoot them. They're just carrying them, but they shouldn't be carrying them. And by the time that all this registers,
there's probably that moment
think about
of
active shooters.
This isn't really
happening. Active shooters go where there is no opposing threat. They go where innocence, kids,
that makes sense.
Where
social workers,
nobody's going to fight back.
Nobody has guns. Yeah.
Right.
So they're going into these environments with full blown, artillery to kill and pillage, and they have the time and the opportunity to do so because nobody knows how to react.
Right.
So there's a company out there that makes a little shield that goes in a kid's backpack. And it's awesome. It's 3 pounds, and to know that your kid,
the fact that has to exist.
Like as a mom,
it's the fact that it has to exist.
Like close up your
I
throat
said the fact
whenever you
that
think of
when
it.
I'm speaking to parents about this, and I have to tell them that a product, because they'll be like, what can we do? And I'm like, well, there is a Defender little, a couple companies make these little shields that slide into a backpack, and it stops a .308 rifle round, and it's like, the fact that I say that hurts me, but at the same time, if you tell your kids, hey, if an active shooter comes in and you keep that around your, organs in your head, they're going to live.
Yeah.
And imagine, my kid's school got locked down, and I penetrated the property and went right inside the school and had my kid, and the office still never said something. And there was 5 guys in the neighborhood robbing houses, and 1 walked on the campus.
What?
And the school's on lockdown. I was at home and I saw a helicopter. I'm like, that's not normal in this area. And then I started kind of getting in my car and then going up, and I'm like, I wonder. I don't see anything online. I don't see anything. They haven't called me. So I went up to the school, and it was on lockdown. The school was a target. I'm like, oh my gosh. I went around the back, climbed the fence, went right in. Could have been anybody. I could have had a gun on me.
Yeah.
And walked right in and checked my kid out. And then after I got him, I said, why didn't you just tell me the school's on lockdown? She goes, it just got off lockdown. I said, no, it didn't. I penetrated your school and I'm a female, just walked in. Like, really?
Yeah.
There's guys in the neighborhood right now robbing a house. They don't have them all. There's 5 suspects. They're obviously going to come run and hide here. and to leverage, they might pull you or someone hostage. Lockdown is lockdown.
Yeah.
I asked Brody, my son, I said, what was lockdown?
So what does lockdown
Get
mean?
under a desk.
Do the kids even know?
Get under a desk.
Well, yeah, they lock down for
That's
the
an
kids.
earthquake.
The kids can't. This is what it sounds like.
Kids are texting you now, telling
Yeah,
you.
the kids
makes
are
sense,
in
yeah.
their room. They can't leave to go into the hallways.
But somebody can walk
But somebody
into
can
the
come right in.
school?
It basically means you're all trapped in here. You can't get out, but but
there's
anyone can get in.
There's a lack of training in this country overall for what is happening. There's 133 active shootings last year alone. That is in our country. Most of them are in California.
Yeah.
So if this is the problem, if assault is the number one crime in our country, plus it's the most unreported and it's the number one crime, don't you think we should be doing something?
Yeah.
How come no one out there is doing it? So I wrote up a program to go speak to NFL teams about domestic violence, about bullying, MLB teams, so that I can make money, so that I can go and fuel my foundation to be able to afford to go out and help all these people that, number one, don't see the value until after I've left, and they're like, oh my God, when can you come back? I go into corporate buildings up in LA. I teach them safety inside the buildings. I teach them body posture, how to work around men, women, how to dress. So you're not asking for it, even though they take offense to that. But men, they do. Women check out women more than men do. But if you're a mean CEO woman and you're acting from your masculine side, you're rubbing men wrong.
Yeah.
And this quiet little guy that worked in a corner in a cubicle is now bringing a gun to work.
Yeah.
Because he can't
That
handle
makes
it.
sense. Hi.
Can I train with you?
Sweetheart, I'm not training right now. Thank you, though. But you know what? I would love to train with you. So as soon as I'm done here, are you still going to be right here? Okay, I will come train with you. So cute.
Is that Alyssa?
So
Hi,
cute.
how are you? What's going on? You got any big competition? Come over here so that people can see you on screen. Hi. Alyssa, what's your last name?
Childs. So
Zoe, I'm so sorry. Zoe Childs, EBI competitor. Everybody say hi. When's your next big competition?
I'm doing Naga next weekend as a trial. I have a pending fight for May.
Nice. Awesome. We're super excited to see you. How's everything going?
Good. Training hard.
Yeah? Kicking all the ass?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Nice.
She surfs, too.
You surf?
Yeah.
I love it. We've had
So
a bunch
much-
of
I know there's
surfers
so much
on the
surf in
podcast.
California,
Jiu-jitsu
you
people
guys
Jiu-jitsu
lately.
and surfing
We
seems
had a
to
guy
go
a couple
together.
weeks ago on that.
lifestyle.
Was a professional
For
surfer.
sure. All right. When we're done talking to Danielle, come back and talk to us. We want to hear about what's going on with you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. She's so cute. I know. I wish I would have found training when I was 13.
I know, right? Imagine.
I know. Oh, dude.
I know, right? It hurts, huh?
Right?
I know.
It does.
I have like little kids like beating me up. I'm like, awesome.
Right? I teach the kids at 10 Planet HQ, and one of our boys has just hit his man-sized body. He's not even there yet, but he's like,
I know all about that, and they come at you as hard
oh
as
my
they can.
God. Like, he legit.
She's like, I got 2 boys.
Yeah,
I
and
live
it-
with one of those.
Yes.
He walks by and does this. Does you work out much? And he
you're
hits
like,
me in the
oh,
head
yeah.
with a bicep. And I'm like, oh my God. But I remember they would be in the kids' class, same thing they did. Everybody line up in front of instructor, and I have like the teenagers. I'm like, what is happening?
And they're all, well, they're all,
Where did
I'm
this
a
come
midget,
from?
so they're all taller
How'd
than
you
me.
get there?
bigger than you.
And this one, he just like went over his teenage size body, and he can legit tap me out now. So I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
there's the fight team.
That
You
little
get to go
fucker is
roll
so
with them.
good.
That's when you go like this. And yes, take the arm. Do that. Do that. That's what I was trying to set you up for.
Yep. Uh-huh.
You
You
see how I
don't-
just
you
gave
gotta
that
let
to
them
you?
pick it up real quick.
You
Go
never
crazy,
let them
boys.
think that they're catching
See
you.
how I just gave
Yeah.
that to you?
As soon as like a teenage boy starts saying, yes, and keep going, keep going. I remove my defense. Keep doing it. Yes, there you go. There you go. That was good. Do that again. Do that again.
You're doing
See
that.
how I set that up
Keep
for you?
doing
You
that.
see that? You see how
You're
I set
doing it
that
right.
up for you?
I just looked me in the eye. I did not. You did not get me. I love how you thought that. I got to build you up.
And then they get that look on their face that
They're
they
not
know
sure.
they know they shouldn't be proud of themselves,
not
but they're
sure.
totally like,
But they are deep down. And
Oh, my
and
son
you're like,
had
you
not
biting
been
your
hiding.
lip.
just wipe that off your face. So what can do you have an end goal for your foundation, or is it just, are you letting it evolve to what it's going to be, or do you have like this is what it's going to be?
My foundation is, a lot of them are like, this is for breast cancer, this is for this is
Yeah.
for that. My foundation has an umbrella over it, and anything that falls under the umbrella,
Yeah.
like I said, is diverse as I will board a dog for a kid who comes
Yeah.
from a family of violence. It
Right.
moves around. I want
So
people
violence is the theme, like
Assault.
survivors of
Bullying.
assault.
That
Okay.
kind of damage at all is so bad. It makes people close up and not live their life and not walk on their path that they're supposed to walk on. And some people might beg to differ and be like, well, look at the path you were on and look what it did and put you on this better path. Not
Yeah.
everybody's as resilient. Not
Yeah,
everybody
it's true.
ever even chooses another path. They sit and they mold, they rot away.
Two people can go through the exact same experience,
And have
and
two
they're going to
different
have two
responses to it.
completely different outcomes of how they're going to live their life afterwards.
Yes. And I feel like, especially kids and the youth, they're being disabled with the iPhones to have social skills. They're being disabled on how to deal with people, relationship type stuff. They don't even make eye contact with you.
Yeah.
I play games all the time. I walk up behind teenagers and I'll stand right here. They don't know I'm there. I could take anything from. I've walked up and taken a kid's backpack and moved it over on this side of me and sat next to him. And my kids watch and they're laughing. And they're like, Mom, they didn't even see you. I'm like, I know.
That's crazy.
And so it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
And I tell kids, put it down. You're hurting yourselves. The kids at the college level, I do something called a bridge program at UCLA. I'm the only non-academic program that they brought in. And I basically talk to incoming freshmen about campus safety, things to think about. Just because you're at a fancy name campus doesn't mean that there wasn't 8 rapes here in 3 months. It happens. These are big businesses. They're not going to report it. So it's everywhere.
Speaking to that, children of privilege don't think that things aren't available to them, and even if that means somebody saying no in a sexual situation,
Yes.
sometimes,
Yes.
there's that,
I try to give people the mindset, and I flip the switch, saying, you have to, you can, you must. I mean, I called 911, and I wasn't protected by the law.
Yeah.
Because it got shady and it got tampered with. And I looked back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I used to think, I was one of those people like, well, if I call 911, that's it.
Right.
Stuff's happening. Why I didn't call it the other times that it happened to me. I was just like, well, maybe I can have some other people handle it before I go there. It was always like, don't make me go there.
Yeah.
And when I did, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm still on my own here. This is
Yeah.
very scary. And I realized, like, I'm not playing that game anymore. I'm not going to chance it. You have to invest in yourself. Because even when you are a victim and you're going through the system, it's been 2.5 years, I'm still dealing with it. Okay?
Wow.
I'm still dealing with it. I don't have my next thing until June. And it baffles my mind. Most people don't have that endurance.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm done. And that's how people get off, and the lawyers know it, and the system knows it. And that's why it's unreported, too.
it's emotional exhaustion.
It is, but,
Yeah.
I have endurance. And I have to stand up for everybody who can't.
Yeah.
Because I can. I can do it.
Yeah.
And I know I can, and I can't know I can and then walk away from it.
Right.
And I can't preach to other people and give them advice and tell them they needed the same thing if I myself was unwilling or just didn't feel like it.
Right.
And it's annoying. But there is a huge epidemic in this country of people who think they're not allowed to stand up, are afraid to stand up, are influenced not to. And you really, that's why when you set your own boundaries, you're like, this is who I am, this is who I'm going to be, no matter who doesn't like me or likes me.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, the people that don't like you, that go the other way, are the people that are too afraid to do the right thing. That is really how they're exposed to me. And the people that do, they're going to gravitate towards you and want a piece of whatever you have.
Well, you said it earlier that doing the right thing is really inconvenient.
Very.
It takes you out of the comfort zone. Sometimes you have to choose between somebody you thought was a friend if you decide on the side of what's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, hey, it's as simple as, well, the school's right by my house. I don't know where else I would go train. I don't want to be there. It's like,
But being there actually endorses, or being in any
Empowers.
situation, there are, not just your situation, there are other situations in our sport that we can all read about on the internet if we want to go and look for them, where instructors chose to side with the assaulters because it was either easier or more convenient, or they didn't want to bother with all of the work that it was going to have to take
Had
to
they gone
side
the other way.
with the person that was the victim
To
in
do
that
the right
situation, to do the right thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
whether it's guy or girl.
Absolutely.
And I've got a lot of messages from people in those situations asking me or telling me, thank you for standing up. I was in this situation and I couldn't do
Yeah.
this or that, or I'm afraid still.
Yeah.
What should I do? And I'm just like, you know my answer.
Right.
You have to walk through fire. Nothing's easy.
Yeah.
Nothing great when you're doing something great is easy, and nothing that's going through a difficult situation is easy. So
Right.
You make a choice. Who are you? Who are you when no one's looking? What's your integrity level?
That's
What's
exactly
your
what
character?
it is. Who are you when no one's looking? And it's a famous saying that integrity is what you do when nobody is watching.
Yeah,
That's who you are.
very true.
Yeah.
And sometimes people change their integrity when people are watching.
It's true.
They do.
Yeah.
They lower it.
Then it's not
typically.
really integrity.
They typically lower it.
Well, that's also the
What's the
group-
saying also
group
about
mentality.
What's the
Yes.
other saying
Yeah.
about your
Psychological.
friends? Something about what your friends say when you're not around, or something.
That's true.
Like, it's that what they'll say in front of you versus what they'll say when you're not around.
Well,
would they say the same things to your face as they will?
Or anybody who talks bad about other people behind their back to you is probably saying the same thing to you.
Is probably doing the same thing to you
behind your back. When so Lila is my self-defense partner. She's who I teach with, and when we teach seminars, one thing that we always say is part of the movement that we are trying to start is I am my sister's keeper, and we believe that we are part of a bigger society where it's our responsibility to be that person in a situation that doesn't assume that somebody else will step up and do the right thing. So, like, let's just say if there's a car accident, it's my responsibility to be the person that's like, you call the cops, you go get some water, I'm going to put a jacket under this person's head, I'm going to stop traffic, I'm going to be the person that is the catalyst for something getting done, because I think too many people assume that everybody else will take care of it. So unless you take the responsibility to be that person who is the catalyst, then you are the one that brings everybody with you, but otherwise everybody just kind of stands back and they're like, somebody else will do it.
You know, it's funny, in EMT, I was an EMT when I was younger.
You have done everything.
Yeah, what haven't you done?
No. Everything.
She's like, and then I was an astronaut.
No.
And then
they teach you that most people, when you stop for an emergency, subsidiary of working on an ambulance, when you stop for an accident, most people never call 911 because everybody thinks somebody already has.
Somebody else does.
Yeah.
Or most people don't stop anymore.
Exactly. They're like, man, somebody else will do it. They gotta go. Yeah.
I can't. I'm always the one to step up.
I don't know if it's just part of me being nosy, but I'm just always like, I'm in charge. What's going on?
Yeah, everybody back away. I got
Mother
this.
hen over here.
Part of being a mom too. Yes,
Mother hen.
I'm not, but people always go, oh, do you have kids? And I'm like, yeah, go to 10 Planet HQ. I have 200 of them.
I really want to come train up there, by the way.
You are officially invited.
Boogie's offered for me to come, and who was the one in Ocean? Gio's offered for me to come.
He was just on.
Yeah. Okay, hi. And I was injured. We did a photo shoot for Flanks, and I was
nice.
and I was like, I want to come train it, and then Boogie was like, come down, and there was a 6:30 a.m. class, which I thought was cool. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I could get done and then get back, take the kids to school.
Yeah.
I think it's cool that it exists.
I know. Boogie teaches people at 6:30.
We'll never be at it.
Yeah.
We'll never be at it.
But if next time you come up to Los Angeles, you are officially invited to 10 Planet HQ.
Yeah, I am really excited to come in. I'm sure. I mean, I'm going to walk out on crutches. My legs will be gone.
No, you will not.
That's not my game at all. But that's what it's what luring me to it. Yeah, but I'm excited to come check that out. It's just such a different game.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited, and I see a lot of success with it, and I think it's great for the sport, and it's kind of taking jiu-jitsu into another realm.
Yeah,
and I really respect that.
What do you think of EBI? Have you ever watched it?
I have. I have. And I was, where was I the other day that some MMA fighter guys were like, did you know it's like legal to slap a head or something? Somebody slaps my head, I'm going to fucking punch him in the face. And I was like, ooh, and like I was imagining like getting slapped in the face because it is so demeaning. I would just blood boil. I would be like, rah, rah.
But I think that's the point of it. Like, can you keep it cool? Can you open it up? Can you? I take combat jiu-jitsu with the fight team, and it was funny because I've been training with Eddie. Eddie's the only coach I've ever trained with, and I've always heard him say, "Oh, rubber guard and MMA," but of course I've never done an MMA. And then I started training with the fight team, and I'm going with one of the guys, and I have him a guard, and he starts punching me, and I was like, "Oh, look at rubber guards right there! Look there! It's just so easy."
Right up
I'm like, "Oh, Eddie was right all the time."
He did have a point when he was saying all that.
I think EBI is great. I think it's giving jiu-jitsu a platform and letting people see our sport and appreciate that it's not this like bloody kick in the face, punch in the face, and that's entertainment. It's really demonstrating an art and our craft and bringing the martial arts and the traditional side of it into the competitive and flashier side of things and marrying the two. It's kind of like a little special Japanese regular food infusion, and it's like really flavorful and yummy, and you're like, yay, I love this.
Regular food.
Yeah, it's like,
regular food.
And
Japanese and Mexican food.
And not those two. But it's just very, very cool to have somebody take that time and effort and to create a platform that people are interested in. And I think, having the Hollywood people coming in, I'm getting asked to come and do like some stunt fight work with actresses or do stuff in film with jiu-jitsu in particular. And I'm always like, how jiu-jitsu relates with the camera, how does that work? So there's a few of us working on that and trying to be innovative and, doing different things, whether it's front flip into a flying triangle, some flashier stuff.
I choreographed for a video. It never got released. I was so bummed. But this band band made a video, and the theme of the video was campus assault. And so they hired me. It was so cool. They hired me to train the Playmate of the Year. Right. She was ugly. She was awful looking.
Terrible looking.
She's terrible. So I trained the Playmate of the Year, right?
Like,
so she was stunning, obviously. But she was such a badass. Like, it was so funny because, you take this woman who, the conversations we had were, she knows how to use her body as a tool already. And then I helped her use it as a weapon, and she was so down. She was like, hell yeah, this is so cool. And so then we got to choreograph a fight based on jujitsu for this video.
That's
and it
very
was
cool.
So cool.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
It's very cool to showcase our sport in that way.
Yeah, it was so awesome. And to see a woman who had no concept of it just like absorb it like a sponge, and somebody that you wouldn't think, because we've talked about, we're a special breed of women that we're like, yeah, put us on the mats, we'll go with the guys, it's all good, I'll take the cuts on my face. But this is, a model who you wouldn't think would go there, and she was so down, and she was like, this is the best thing ever!
I've seen the same thing.
Yeah. So cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us.
Thank you for having me.
We'd love for you to hang out with us anytime you want to come back on the podcast.
I would love it for hours.
Yeah,
I would love it.
I can just
and when you're ready to train again.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Tell everybody where they can follow you on social media and where they can find information on the foundation.
Okay. Instagram is under True Boundaries, and also my personal one is official Danielle Martin. And I have www.trueboundaries.com, and I'm building the foundation website, rebuilding that one too. So, and I have an athlete page on Facebook under Danielle Martin and one under True Boundaries. So everything's kind of doubled up.
Awesome stuff.
Everything. Yeah.
And you can always find her stuff through us. We'll put it on the Mat Therapy Life page. We will put a link to True Boundaries when it's up. So, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
We'll leave this.